every goal you have requires certain habits, actions, perspectives, even paradigms, the way you see the world. If there's certain things that have to be done, but you don't identify with the actions, you don't do the actions, which means you don't get the outcome. And the outcome's the thing you want most. If you want to have something, you have to become the kind of person. It's not like become it just at like a courage level, but it's like literally the kind of person that makes outreach calls or builds this thing or films this thing or posts that thing or records it, whatever it may be. And so there's always going to be a thing you want and a person who has the thing. If you aren't that person at an identity level, you don't get that thing. So I say you can't attain or sustain anything above your current identity.
The Business Owner's Journey. I'm Nick Berry, and I've got real business owners telling their real stories, sharing their real lessons and strategies so you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Anthony Trucks is a former NFL athlete, an entrepreneur, and the leading voice on identity shift through his company, Dark Work. What if the reason that you're not hitting your goals has nothing to do with your strategy or your discipline or your motivation and everything to do with your identity? Anthony and I discuss how business owners transform who they are so their growth then becomes inevitable. Expect to learn how identity sets the ceiling on your goals, why you can't sustain results above your current identity, how Dark Work rewires your habits, your actions, and your leadership identity, what separates those who stick with it from those who revert back, whether mindset or identity actually drives the long-term success, how to create proof when belief is missing, the best and the worst ways to rely on motivation to hit your goals, how to design habits that become harder not to do. Then he gives his take on discipline, alignment, doing the work when you don't feel like it, and how business owners can make an identity shift that's going to change everything. I hope you enjoy this fantastic episode with Anthony Trucks.
And so when it comes to business, most of us go, man, I want to, have $1 million business. Recently saw something that said, and I loved it, it says, it is harder to become the kind of person that can build $1 million business than it is to build $1 million business. Because the person is the one, can you handle the long days, the early mornings, the late nights, the hard feedback, the rejection, the success? Can you handle, the navigating of the impromptu, fall offs? Can you have the grit to push through down times? Like all these things, they're character identity traits that for many people, they are just too much to overcome and they slide back out of the path and then they don't see their dream be realized. Whereas for me, I think, and other people are entrepreneurs that are successful, they talk about like, there's a lot you have to go through. It's a grit of it. And most people don't realize that after a while, it has become normalized. The thing that you can't get through today becomes your everyday Tuesday. No big deal. But if you don't push far enough and like I'll shift your identity through what I call dark work, then that dream always becomes just a dream, never reality for you.
The identity that we're aspiring to, Are there multiple shifts in that, or is it constantly evolving? It's the future us, right?
You can call it the future us. You definitely can, but it's the future's unwritten, which is crazy, but it's the truth. I mean, all of us we are our future us right now. The past us came to the future us. It happened one of two ways, though. It happened on demand. I chose to better myself, or crap hit the fan. Something went wrong. I had to muster the energy up. But it does happen in phases and in different areas. So the way that my identity is on display for you now is not the same as when my identity was on a football field or as a parent or as a husband with my wife or with my clients. Like that identity, not that I'm a different person, but there's different expressions of that identity. The same underlying currents there, but I express different parts of who I am in those moments, right? So that's the first part to pay attention to. The other thing is, just because you're good in one space doesn't mean you're going to be great in the other one, right? You have to develop these identity traits or skill sets. So when I was great in a football field, it doesn't mean I was going to be great on a stage. It doesn't mean I'm going to be great on a basketball court. I have the traits behind the scenes, but I have to develop those skills to feel confident, have the skills to do what I have to do to be successful there. This is where the process is the most important. Like I said, all of us are already our future selves from a past self. That person got there one of two ways. We talked about that. Now, when you look at the future, what you want to become, you get to choose. Do I want to do it when crap hits the fan or do it on demand? So you have to start looking at what area of my life do I want to have a better identity? What are the traits required to have success in that identity or to shift into it and start doing it? Now, here's the thing. Most people, they've heard this before. Start doing the things in line with the identity you want to be. But they do it for a day or two. They're not successful. A week or two, not successful. A month or two, not successful. And they revert back and go, oh, it didn't work. And I go, no. Who you are now took you years. You have to submit to this thing so much that over time, it goes from being hard to do it to hard not to do it. Like, my guess is when you first started doing the podcast, the beginning, the very first episode, it was kind of like, see how it goes. Let's dive into it, right? I'm not saying you didn't believe in yourself, but it wasn't like you had the confidence you have now. But that's because you went into it, you tried things, you learned, you adjusted, you've built, you learned, and you kept going. That journey was you going through the steps required to become the podcaster you are now. That was you doing what I call the dark work. It was you behind the scenes watching videos on how to edit, what platform to use, log this in, clip this, put this as a podcast. What's the metadata for this? What am I the description of this? Like all these little things, nobody sees you do, but you're doing them and you're beating your head against the wall. And eventually it gets to the point where it's so much of a thing that was initially hard to do than where it's hard for you to go to bed, not like feeling like you prepared for the podcast, not feeling like you know how you're going to market this thing or how you're going to get the next guest on, right? You know how to do it. You feel less like you if you don't do those things now. Whereas before it didn't feel like you at all.
So is the difference just sticking with it for a period of time?
That's at a simple rudimentary level, yes. It's sticking with it for a period of time. That's really, I wish I could break it down even cleaner, but that's really what it is. And most people go, that seems pretty simple. And I go, yeah, it sounds right. But the problem is when you do something for a period of time, doing it for a period of time is a hard thing because some people go, well, is this even what I want to do? Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? Because most folks skip right to the work. They don't determine if it's the right work. Most people, like, they just go, I want this outcome. Let me go see what Nick's doing, and I'm going to do what Nick's doing. And then you start doing Nick stuff, and they go, man, it's not working. Well, because Nick did things that were specific to Nick's needs to get where Nick wanted to go. But did you ever question, what do you need to do? Is it where you want to be? Is that what's right for you? And so it is as simple as doing that, but getting to the point of just doing it actually is a lot of a lift.
So, and I'm sure that beliefs come in there into play somewhere, right? Your limitations that you've applied to yourself are going to determine.
Yeah,
They're
beliefs,
going
lack
to
of
derail
beliefs.
you pretty early or propel you to stick
Or
with it long
stop
enough.
you. If you don't believe it's who you are, you won't move for most people. The other part of it is you go, well, I don't believe I'm that person. I go, well, why don't you believe that? Well, I've never done it before. Oh, so you don't have proof. Yeah, I don't have any proof. Okay, let's create proof.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's just like, which means I got to do the thing. Now, the first parts of proof are going to be like, yeah, you really shouldn't be doing this. Right? It's just the nature of it. Like, that's just how it works. And then eventually you start going, okay, I learned something. Let me try it again. And you do a little bit better, a little bit better. And eventually over time, you go from sucking at it to being not as sucky to being a little bit better to being, I'm good. Now I'm great at it. The journey, what you're talking about, that was the progression from pain to joy of success. But now you are that person. But most folks stop so early because initially they're not that person. And that's the thing that most people aren't able to push past, which is why they don't get what they want most. I'm working really hard. Yeah, you're working at the level of what your current identity sees as its max, but the goal you want requires a different level, and it doesn't give you a discount. You're going to be required to go through that journey to get there. And that will be a lot of things that you are not good at right now, that you should have no belief around because you haven't done it. But the more you do it, the better results you get eventually. Now you have the proof and the belief that you can and should be doing this.
So, yeah. And I guess it's maybe a prerequisite that you have to have a growth mindset. You have to believe that you're capable of improving.
Well, that's a big piece of it. Because the thing is, mindset's interesting. Mindset is an identity. Mindset it's within your identity. If you look at some of the most powerful identities of people, they don't always say like, man, my mindset's a successful piece. They just go, no, it's what I do. What do you mean? I get up every day and that's what I do. Michael Phelps, I get up every day and I swim. I'm in the pool every day. He doesn't go, well, my mindset was I had to make sure I get up. No, he goes, I get up, I go to the pool every day. We describe that as his mindset, but it's just who his identity is. That's just who he is to do that thing. So the big dance of it is, yeah, you have to kind of lean in, and part of it heavily is going to be the beliefs. And part of it's going to be, can I rewire myself to get to that point of like just knowing it's who I am in time? But you start out not believing it. And then in time, you start to have yourself give different proof. And then now it becomes a sense of self, and it's more in alignment. And here's one thing I didn't talk to, but it'll help. We as humans have a really interesting connection to being aligned with who we see ourselves to be. Like there's studies that have shown that people given glaring proof that they are wrong, they will still fight for a position because there's such a draw to be in alignment with who they see themselves to be. And so for a lot of us, we don't realize you need to detach from that alignment and go, I'm going to create a new alignment and align to that. And yes, that is the sucky part that most won't go through, so they won't have what they want most.
But it sounds pretty powerful. You see just a little bit of evidence of it working, that's really powerful.
Oh yeah, it honestly is. It's the thing that draws you, and then you get a little dopamine dump. You feel a little bit better, and you move forward. But most folks are looking for the mindset to be the solution, and it's not, because the mindset after a while it draws on. It doesn't draw anything. Your willpower goes out the window. You're dead. You're tired. Like, now, what's going to move me? Alignment. Like I am a guy that every day for the last 1,300 and today was 12 straight weekdays I've done a podcast, 5 to 7 minute podcast called Dark Work Daily. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I like doing it every day, but I am the guy that films a podcast every single day. Simple one, short, but it goes out. So there are definitively days where I'm like, man, I do not feel like recording this right now. I'm not motivated. I don't want to do this, but it's who I am. I'm not going to fall short of who I am, right? There's an alignment piece there. So I pop myself out of bed, hop downstairs, lights come on, I record the podcast, I go to bed 7 minutes later, right? That is the thing that will drive most people when they don't want to drive to get the result that they really want to get. But so many folks don't have a thing they're aligned to. They don't even know what their identity is attached to. So they'll start something with oh, this could be good, but don't realize that it's not about this action being good, but it being something I can attach to my identity so I'll never stop doing it. Then when it becomes who I am to do it, I get the result because the thing that has to be done, if you are battling it every day and it's who I am to do it, inevitable, I'm going to beat you. It's inevitable because you are waiting for a moment to stop. And I'm like, I don't know what it means to stop. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the result when you don't.
Yeah. So how does somebody get started going, like, if this is new to them and they want to start discovering their identity, or like, where do they start? What's the first step?
Yeah. Well, I have an assessment. You can go to darkwork.com, take an assessment, but I'll give you the gist of it right now. There's typically 4 identities that we have found at the intersection of opposition and opportunity, which is where you show up. You show up in those moments you're not thinking about. Opportunity or an opposition that hits you. Your identity, it triggers itself. And it's not even like you notice it happening. It just happens. And then we just follow suit with who we are based on our wiring, our neurological and psychological wiring, which is wired through experience, right? So there's intersections in the intersection of opposition, opportunity. If I don't pursue opposition or opportunity because I'm scared of opposition and I stay stagnant, I'll be what's called a dreamer. I don't push past pain and I don't pursue an opportunity because it scares me. So I'm a dreamer. I'll tell about my dreams all day long, never see them through. Then you have a person that goes, man, I'm going to pursue this opportunity, but the moment opposition hits, they shut down. I call these people dabblers. These people are ones that are like dabble. They try something new and then like it's not easy. They go to the next thing, right? Because opposition shuts them down. But man, they love opportunity. It looks a lot of fun, right? Then you got people that have had some success and they are people that in opposition, they'll fight tooth and nail, but new opportunity scares them because it might rob them of current status. These are what I call defenders. Undefeated boxer, the person doesn't want to lose their record or like make them look stupid. So they'll defend their position, but they won't scale the position. The last person is an individual I call a dominator. This is a person that dominates the weaker version of themselves, but here's how they do it. They are able to push past opposition because they realize that opposition leads to opportunity. They also pursue opportunity because they know that opportunity will lead to opposition that other people stop at. They get the next level of opportunity. So these people dominate others and themselves because they go, opposition leads opportunity, and opportunity, I can overcome opposition. I'm going to get more opportunity. And it's a dance back and forth. And so they look at life and they go, man, I got whatever comes at me because I know there's going to be problems, but I bring me to my problems. Let's rock. And that dominator, it means to exert and govern control. And again, it's not always control over other people or situations, but can I exert control over the part of me that wants to submit to excuses, submit to fear, submit to weakness, submit to opposition, and you just fall back and you watch the dream pass you by? Or can I dominate the weaker version inside of me that wants to stay small and go, nah, I'm going after this. I don't care if it's hard. I don't care what it is. I'm going to do this. When that person shows up, they actually get to experience the life that so many people want but never get.
I love that. So you've got an assessment.
Yeah, it's a full thing. It breaks it all down. And then from there, the next thing is like, now that you know that, doesn't mean that it solves your problem. It just means you know where you're at, right?
Right.
So the next thing we talk about, it's pretty simple, but it's not. I'll call it simple, but far from easy. But in the beginning process, you also want to figure out, well, what identity do I want based on what I want? So I got to figure out what the thing I desire is, what identities have that, what are the traits that would have to be put into my life? And most of the time, these things you're going to find out, they are butt puckering. I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable, right? Like, oh, my body ties up. I got to make this call. I got to do outreach. What if they say no, right? And so the fear creeps in. I go, great. Now you know what is the path to your success. So that you have this information, the next thing is, can you take the action to the dark work? But that is something that most people don't do right either. Most folks, they're disciplined to an emotion. I feel like doing this. I feel like having success. I feel like X. I feel like Y. But what happens when the emotion disappears? Right? What happens when you don't have the motivation to move? Well, I fall back to my identity. And this is where, for me, I got to go. If I got to put these things in place, I must be disciplined to a plan. So I say you have to design your dark. And this, you ever heard people say like, F your feelings, just get it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to go like, what do you mean F your feelings, get it done? And it's not F your feelings that don't want to do it. It's, can you follow a plan? And the reason you wouldn't follow a plan is because you don't feel like doing it today. That's where I say F your feelings. If you, for example, go, hey, I want to grow this podcast. I got to put a guest on every single week. Your thing is now, the plan is, how do I get a guest on every week to set the thing up, make sure I'm prepped, all that. There's work to that, right? But the idea is like, no, my identity is like, I do that. I've designed my life in a way to where I know when I'm going to do my research, when I'm going to prepare, when I'm going to get the recording, I'm going to show up. It's all there. Imagine if you were running off a feeling. You go like, I don't feel like recording with Anthony today. I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like prepping for the podcast, right? That's a feeling driving it. But the thing is like, I don't care how you feel. Because I've run a podcast now for years, like 8 years. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to do it, but it's on the docket. It's in my calendar. I got to get it done. Let's go. I don't care how I feel. F the feelings. That's on my schedule. It's got to get executed. And now all of a sudden, magically, I'm doing the thing. And doing it, I do get more efficient. I get more effective. I get better at it. And then now this is something I do. It's now part of my identity. And so the thing is, the F your feelings is based on, you must create a plan that embodies the traits of the identity you want to have and subject yourself to that new experience. I alluded earlier to this idea that it's psychological and neurological wiring that makes us function certain ways. That's already happened. We just want something more without having to do the wiring required. And it doesn't happen because you want it. It doesn't happen because you sat in your couch and did The Secret and thought about it. It happened because you experienced something that you subject yourself to intentionally that rewired who you are at a neurological and psychological level. So you now are a podcaster. Before you started a podcast, you wouldn't sit there and go, I'm a podcaster. Wouldn't happen because you haven't had an experience of that. And when you first started, you're probably like, man, I'm podcasting. But you get deep into the game like you are now. You've gone through the ups, the downs, the recording, and then you didn't hit record. And then we didn't get the things done. I missed the notes, right? These little moments, you're like, damn, you went through this experience. Hey, damn it, I'm a podcaster now, right? There's a different ownership to it, but it's not because of accident. It's because of an experience.
Yeah. So a lot of things are coming to mind too that are, so, podcaster would be, a label or a role, but also behaviors. Like I remember a point in my life when I decided I'm going to be someone who is on time, right? Like that's so kind of attaching that behavior, the way that I wanted to be. That was a moment for me, realizing that you can make that decision and and it may not stick 100% of the time, but it doesn't have to,
No,
it's not
it doesn't have to.
perfection, right? It's moved me in the right direction.
It's progress. Yeah, progress. And then eventually you keep doing it and you keep doing it and you keep doing it. You'll get to a day where you don't want to do it. And then something cool happens, which is there's a part of your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I learned about it from Andrew Huberman, that when you do something you don't want to do, not that it's hard like a workout, like I don't want to do it because it's hard, but I want to do it at the same time. It doesn't grow. It's when you really don't want to do it, but you do it, it grows. It's the willpower part of your brain. But that thing, it rewires who your sense of self is. Because on day 29, when you don't want to do it, but you get it done on day 30, you feel like a superhero, man. It's a different sense of self. Like, I really did that yesterday. Hell yeah, right? And you do more of it, and you do more of it. And now the crazy part is eventually it gets less and less exciting. Not that it's not less and less valuable, but it becomes normal to you to the point where you almost forget that you do it. And one time it was very hard to do it. Now it's like, yeah, I do it. It's no big deal. Somebody else might come along and go, Nick, man, how do you do that every single month? You go, every month? That's every Tuesday. What are you talking about? Like, it's normal to you, right? And so the idea is you've eventually built this muscle to where the thing that's hard is easy.
What if someone like loses track of the identity for whatever reason? Maybe they drift. Can that happen? Can it get away from you?
For sure. Yeah, because I mean, the thing is interesting. We are creatures and beings of habit, which is, habits, some that are ingrained for a long time are harder to break. But two, we're definitely tied to emotion. We get tired and we feel like doing things. And then we are easily, for the most part, like able to be drawn to the thing that satisfies, we'll call it deeper desires, the physical stuff, the eating of food, right? Because think about it. You can go like, I'm a person that's in shape. I train a lot, right? But damn it, that pie and that candy, that looks good. You can fall back out of it. But the thing is, if you don't know who you are, you'll stay out of it. You'll stay in this new place you've ventured into, right? Because they say one time's an accident. Multiple times, it's now a new habit. So the idea is if you understand that if you are where you left that space, you started a new habit, you can snap back to a different one. Because most people, they're functioning in a way like just randomly. It's not, I'm just doing my thing. But if you know who you are, you'll notice when you drift, you'll go like, I'm off and I can get back into it. But 100% it happens. There's times when, like I used to be a professional athlete. I was in phenomenal shape, owned a gym, phenomenal shape. In 2020, I got up to 250 pounds. My playing weight was 240. I wasn't playing anymore. Like I was big boy, big back. And I was like, that's not Anthony, man. This is off. And then I'm now down to a good weight. I got abs at 220 pounds. Like I took the last, literally, this was my 200th workout yesterday with my trainer. I saw on the app, it showed up. But like a year and a half I've been doing this. But it's not hard now. It was hard. I got out of it. I flowed into a guy that was like, I don't know this guy. But to get back to me took time. And it was hard. But I knew like, this is the person I want to be. It's in line. Now, it's hard for me to close a day and not have walked 6 miles, not have gotten my lift in, not have eaten the food, the 2,200 calories I'm supposed to have, and 220 of protein, and 201 of my carbs, and then 49 of fat. Like I know my numbers, right? It's hard to not be that guy because I've done it so long. But yes, we can easily fall off, but then we got to be able to know like, okay, I'm off. Let me get back on and have something to be the back on. If there's no structure to what you were, then you don't even know how to get back to what you were.
Yeah. So when you realized that you'd gotten off, were you able to kind of snap back to, you knew what the identity was you wanted to get back to? That took that part happened quick, but then the work to get you there was what took a long time. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Because but like, think about it. When you were a young guy, you could move and jump. Now, man, I got out of bed. If I don't stretch, my back's out in like 20 minutes. I'm like, I got to go to the chiropractor, right? But it just sucks. But yeah, the journey back is a hard one because all of us want to wake up and be that person today. And that's the thing. Can I submit to the process is the other part of it? Can I actually get back into the groove and not identify with the outcome, but identify with the effort? Can I be a person that just does that every day? And then that's it. I just close the day going, I did my thing today. And little by little by little, you eventually slide back into who you were. It is not overnight. And if you expect it to be, you'll be comparing yourself to an outcome every day. Eventually, your willpower drains and you stop. But if I go, look, my thing is, I just want to stack the days. Today, I'm going to do this. And that's all I'm focused on. And I do that. Good, done. Close the day. Wake up the next day, do the exact same thing. I will over time fall back into being that person and wake up one day and go, damn, I'm finally there. And be appreciative of being there, but also happy every day of the process leading to there.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking about is I sold my last business in the beginning of 2024 and kind of went through that season of, well, let's figure out what we're going to do,
Who am I?
for the rest of my life. Right. And
I get it.
Taking a year to do that, when I decided to like kind of step back in and be more active, and start building a business again, it was kind of like, there were some areas of what I believe my like identity was that were fuzzy or rusty. And so I don't think that I did snap back to clarity on that future self very quickly. That was a challenge, like a kind of a stressful one because you're not sure, like, should I know this? Did I not know what I was before? What happened here?
Well, the interesting thing is you're alluding to a point. When I was former NFL, so out of the NFL, people in the military, same thing, empty nesters. When you are no longer doing the thing that you used to do every day that made you who you are, it is a massive question mark floating over your head. I was like, who is Anthony without the football? Like I was a football guy, right? Then it's like, well, if a military, like who am I if I'm not a soldier? If a mom, like who am I if I'm not a mom taking care of my kids every day? Who am I, right? And so you have these intangible traits, but I don't know how to use them any other way than I've used them. That's the hard part. So I don't see myself as having value in whatever area. But the crazy thing is like it's metaphorically like I had this beautiful tree that I nurtured and planted the seed and I learned how to grow it and prune it. Now it's a beautiful tree, but that tree got shipped off somewhere else. So now I got to go across the road and I got this whole plot of land and this open space and I put another seed in the ground and I go, all right, where's my tree? I want it right now because I don't like the feeling of having no tree. But the thing is, it doesn't grow any faster. It grows the exact same, but you know what to expect for the process. You know how to do the things you did before that were mistakes, probably without the same mistakes. So it might grow a little bit faster because like this time of the year, do this time, don't do this, prune it. Like more things. You can actually build another tree. So the idea is to not identify with the tree, but the person who's able to grow the tree. If I go this, then you never lose sense of self. Another random metaphor with trees is it's like we have like an apple tree, and the fruit of your labor is what you created, like the business, right? That apple fell off the tree, it rolled in the ground, and I'm the apple. So I feel like crap because the fruit's good for a little while. After a while, though, it gets rotten and stale and it sucks. And I go, man, what do I do? But the truth is, you were never the piece of fruit. You were always the tree producing that fruit. If you go back to the tree and go, all right, let me give this tree, sustenance and nurture it and put it in the right environment, all that kind of stuff, you can produce better and sweeter fruit. But most don't think of it that way. So yeah, you sold the business, but you didn't sell yourself, right? So the traits of who you are, we just got to reestablish different places to express those. You'll get right back into the flow if you were. And yeah, it doesn't take like a day. It takes time to notice it. So for me, it took 3 years. For you, you're probably you notice it took time. And that's very normal. It's abnormal to go like, sold the business. I got this. I'm doing this now. I'm on. Let's go. Right? Like there's a hiatus. There's a window. And I know I've got buddies that done the exact same thing. And it's like, no, we got to get you back to yourself expressed in something else that makes you feel like yourself, which is why I'm talking a lot. But I'm not a fan of like the idea of retirement in our industry because I'm a builder. I'm a builder. I also don't know about the idea of like, isn't enough too enough? And I'm like, it's not about what I'm getting. It's about the fact that I'm a builder. I build. I'm happiest in build mode. I can have the building be sold, but I want to build. That's what I do every day. I don't know other part of my expression of my humanity. And so when I'm building, I just want to build. And yeah, you may see it as like, oh, he just wants to, accumulate more money and more things. It's like, those guys aren't looking just for more money, but they're used to a cadence of doing what happens. That's the outcome of it, but they're used to building. And so if you stop building, you notice it. And that's the pain. It's like, I'm not the builder I am. I'm just this guy that built. I'm not prepared to be the guy that built. I want to still be the builder.
So you mentioned the assessment that you do with dark work. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you take people through this process with dark work?
Yeah. So the thing for me is I noticed that individuals need to have a window of time to work through. We call it a dark work experience. The idea is to literally do all the things we're talking about and subject you to an actual experience that is intentional. So the first is 4-month process. The first 4 weeks of it, it's all set up. It's doing all the things that have to do with establishing who you are, who you want to be, what you want to get, what's been holding you back. Like we do a lot of like dirt work, like dig in the dirt, figure out what's going on in the darkness, what's the underlying aspects to why you're not where you want to be. And then once we know these things, it informs us of what we want to actually do. We go to the second stage, which is dark work. Design your dark, create a declaration, and then go dark. All this stuff happens in the first 4 weeks of setup. And then we find that the next 3 months, it's all life. And there's a reason I do it this way. I don't want you to have the safety and comfort and assume it's growth of just listening to audio stuff and doing coursework and sit with your coach and having great ideas. Life is the best classroom. I need you to go into life, but I need you to try to shoot into the life lessons that are harder for you. Go to AP life, a master's life, honors life, right? Meaning, if you want this thing, I need you to create this plan of what it's going to be and then commit to doing it. And when you get to the next 3 months, we do this all in one-on-one, by the way. It's not like a group setting. You have a one-on-one coach. And this you plan this all, both the professional pursuance you want and the personal aspects you want to focus on. So it's a duality. And then you're now in a window of 90 days of we're going to work. You're pretty much applying this design dark plan, and it's not fun. It's not supposed to be like the fun, like it's a joy. Like you're going to have to make asks you don't want to make. You have to build things you don't want to build. You have to do things, learn things you're not used to doing. Like you have to do the work of life. And life always presents you with a situation where you go, I don't feel like doing it. Now, it doesn't come out in the language of I don't want to do it. It comes out in procrastination, apprehension, fear, trying to find a different way to do it. I go, no, the only way is through, man. Let's go. And so when you come to the call and go like, hey, this is a plan. I go, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. Why? Well, no, hold on. What do you mean? You get excuses or the achievement? You don't get both. Which one do you want? And we have a conversation about it. We figure out what the excuse is, where it's underlying. And now I go, okay, cool. This happened here. Next time, try this or adjust this or don't think like this. And they do it. All of a sudden they go, man, I feel different. Like, yeah, because now this new experience you went through gave you different proof. It started to rewire your psychology and your neurology, your actual identity underneath. So after 90 days of doing these kind of things where every week's like a whole new challenge, you get to the backside, you have experienced something you haven't experienced before. There is no way you're the exact same person. It's an inevitability you change because in a good way, because you've now tried things that you weren't used to doing because you wanted this thing that now requires you to do new things. You did them, and now you've become over time the kind of person that does those things. So you don't just achieve the achievement of writing the book. You're now an author. I don't achieve the achievement of taking a boxing class. I'm a boxer. Why? Because I subjected myself to an intense experience that rewired me to where now I'm not just trying that thing. I'm the kind of person that does that thing at an identity level.
And that it takes that type of experience to break free of the inertia, I guess.
Everybody
They're
does.
turning the
Everybody.
battleship.
It does. And there's a lot of people that do this accidentally, but they do it 6 years from now and they could do it 6 hours from now. They just wait until their back's against a wall and they change, honestly, just because crap hits the fan. But how much of life have you lost out on? How many, in those 6 years, what could have been part of your life at this point now, had you done this 6 years ago intentionally? And so for us, yeah, you have to go through an experience. No one accidentally has an amazing marriage. You don't accidentally become a great parent or accidentally have $1 million business. It doesn't accidentally happen. You become the kind of person that has that. Now, how fast you get that, or the level at which you maintain it after you've got it, that's tied to who your identity is. Like if someone gives you money, it's not the same as when you earn the money. It's two different things. So when you have earned the business, earned the money, you have these different traits and ownership that you now embody. And so you protect it differently. You manage differently. You steward it differently. And so for a lot of folks, they want to have it without the hard work. And it's like, man, that's the most beautiful thing. Because I've noticed this about myself and people I work with. What we are the most proud of, we're proud because it was hard. Like the first rule of CrossFit's always talk about CrossFit, right? Why? Because it's so hard. Childbirth. My wife always talks about childbirth when she's around strange women. I'm like, what is going on? It's because it was hard. They're proud of it, right? And so I go, that's the case. All of us should be pursuing that because that hard thing makes you who you are. And that is a requirement for what you want.
Yeah. So I'm sure there are, but like, what are the signs that somebody is ready for this experience? It's time for them
That's a great question.
Work on their identity.
Yeah, two things. One is going to be the feeling of burnout, which is I've worked so hard. I've been putting so much into this. I'm just not getting the result I want. And I go, well, the thing is twofold. One, you might just be doing things that are the wrong things to do. You're burned out because you have been giving energy, but you haven't been shoring up your leaks. Like if you got a boat and there's specific places where like you could put a patch to plug the boat that's leaking. If you put patches on things that don't have holes, you're going to be wasting your energy. So you burn yourself out and the boat's still sinking. So the biggest thing is you have to notice, like if you've been working really hard towards something, like really, like if you can honestly say, I've given my all to this and I'm not getting there, that's because part of your identity you haven't noticed has been your biggest issue. You've been beating yourself up. You've been your own worst enemy. But if you can step back and go, man, I got to figure out why I'm like struggling, then you can figure out. There's a statement by a guy named Tim Murphy says, it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar. A lot of us are unaware of the labels on our jar. Other people could see them, but we don't see them. So we're doing work that's not the right work because the label's different than what we're actually doing. It's the first piece. The second piece of what ties to how you know is the fact that you have this really interesting, deep, like gnawing inside of you can't shut up. In your quiet times, you dream about this thing. In your conversations, you talk about it. You're researching on the internet, you're playing with it, but you're not living it. That's how you know it's time to make the shift. Because a lot of people, they are lulled to sleep with the safety and security of the life that their job provides for them, or the security of the relationship they're not alive in anymore, or the hobby that doesn't kind of keep that same interest. And what happens, a lot of us are just like, well, that's just what it is. And we accept that mediocrity because it's like, well, I got to do it. It's like, no, you don't. If you are feeling inside of you something that doesn't feel like a line or doesn't feel like you're alive or you have more to give, that's your body, your soul, the universe, your God, whatever it is telling you like, hey, you're meant for more. Like go, because you wouldn't have the thoughts or ideas if you weren't supposed to have the thoughts or ideas.
Mm-hmm. So like you're unsettled, something's not right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Something, yeah. And we know it. People they're living it. Like the thing is, your life, for a lot of folks, their life is good. Like, their bills are paid, they're healthy, cars driving, there's no problems, but they don't feel alive. Like they feel like, man, it's all right. Life's okay. That's good, right? But I want people to go like, wow, my life is amazing, right? What's the difference? It's just what you're doing every day. Same time, same hours, same minutes go by, but are you doing things that light your soul up? And when you get to the point of going like, I am doing what I was meant to do here, burnout's not a part of it. You are in alignment. Like you are over, like I at this point in my life, am incredibly blessed to have a life that I am so in love with. I have a wife I love. I have kids I love. I have a business I love. All these things I get to do and how I serve. But none of it was accidental. All of it was incredibly hard. I was divorced for 3 years. It was so hard to get this back together in my marriage. My businesses for a long time was going broke before I figured it out, right? So it's all part of it. But now the way that my life works with how many speeches I do, how I get to serve, who I get to serve, how I'm present with my kids, dude, my life is at so much peace. Like I am in a phenomenal state of life, but it took me 42 years to get here, like,
And it's
but
not an
the thing
accident.
is, no, but I knew at times when I wasn't like aligned and I was divorced and life was, I'm like, this isn't supposed to be, man. I got to change some things. And I did. And over time, little, I got better. And so for me, going back in time, I go, that's when I knew that my identity had to change. But then when I got the shift and I'm in this place now, like, dude, I just want to give it back. I love doing this because I get to give some of this back to the world in some way. I don't even know what's going to turn into, who's going to hear it. But like, I don't have a need from anybody. I don't need you to do anything for me. I don't need people to do stuff. Like, I'm in a place where I'm like, my needs are met. I'm trying to give and fulfill other people's needs because that's how I get to feel better at this point in my life. But I know my identity is where it's supposed to be. And it took a lot of years to get to this point.
It's the level of clarity that comes through when you're talking about these things. I mean, there's the polished speaker, but that's also not the same thing as your sense of clarity about these things. I mean, it's impressive.
Thank you.
But I've heard you talk, enough times, and each time there's this turning point, this experience that you're referencing where, like, you had a decision to make, and it comes back to, this is how Anthony's going to be, or this other direction. I'm going to choose, like, this is the way that I want to be. And so, yeah, that's why I said that it's no accident that it ended up in this place that you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we talked
Yeah.
about dark work and some of the work that you guys are doing, but what else do you have your hand in?
Yeah. Fun things, man. So the thing is, I have built a beautiful speaking business where I get to go serve massive, amazing, Fortune 100 companies and even better, which was not an expectation in the beginning. It was a complete accident to start speaking. And then I started finding that people, they wanted to know how I did it. Like, how'd you build that business? And it wasn't in the beginning any a thing for me to desire to teach people how to build a speaking business. But there's this thing, you ever heard of the law of marginal utility? It's this concept that there's a certain level at where something's utility diminishes and the margin changes. So if I have 10 hamburgers and I'm starving, if I eat the first hamburger, it's super valuable. The utility of that is super high, right? The second one, a little bit lower. But third, I'm like, I'm full, man, but I got 7 hamburgers. What do I do with the other 7 hamburgers? I still want to feel good, though. I give them to people who are hungry. So there's a utility to that for them, right? So marginal utility is like, once you have something over time, the next thing is, well, how do I feel better? Well, it's to give it to somebody else they can feel good too. And so in my speaking business, I do well. I get the speeches I want and I can say no to some and I can live my life how I choose. And so I just want to give that to other people because that world runs smooth and I'm good there. I'm dialed. And so at this point I go, people want to know, how do you build a speaking business? And I don't have to be, like keeping it close to the vest. I can be very abundant with how I share stuff. So I now teach people in a company called Speak to Freedom how to speak to a life of freedom. I break the entire thing down, how it works, how to run it. And I've got clients that are living amazingly cool lives because they built this beautiful speaking business that gives them a ton of freedom. And so for me, like that's what I do now, is separate from teaching all these things I'm saying on dark work, from coaching and consulting and workshops on a stage. I then had people go, how'd you build that business? And so I help them take their own personal message, their own personal story, and really package it up, put it into a beautiful business system that they can take into the world and create their own freedom with.
And it's the beauty of it, of a great advice business, is you're just giving people what you figured out, the system that works, right?
That's it. Yeah. Even more, even having to codify it even more. That's the hard part. Just because you do doesn't mean you can teach it. So the teaching took a lot of time to figure out, like, how do I make what I did off of just random instinct a thought that I can teach you? So like that's taken a good few years. I'm there now, but for a lot of years, we're just having a lot of coaches. I work with a lot of people to figure it out, but now it's super codified and very supportive, ton of tools and tech and stuff built into it, where it's a phenomenal machine. I can't even take full credit for everything. I got a great team that has built great things. It's been my brainchild, but a lot of it's like, my clients need something. How do we solve their problem? Right. So little by little, I've gone through to where now it's yeah, dude, it is dialed and it's tight and it works and it's fun to watch.
That's fantastic. I love hearing about it. I mean, because I know what goes into it. Even when somebody makes it look really easy, there's a lot more to it than that.
There's so much complexity to simplicity.
Mm-hmm. So what about the future? What are you going to do?
This, man, I think the future for me is I'm done doing other things. The dark work brand, at some point, I will pull myself back from, but I want the brand to have leverage and legs to go well beyond me, kind of like your blue ocean theory, or the test they do, like the Gallups. Like, I don't know who made it. They made it. Now it's out beyond them, and they're not the ones even a face of it, right? That's what I want dark work to be in time of people going to a place that is doing identity shift coaching through the dark work brand. So that may not even be Anthony, and that's the future, we'll call it. The Speak to Freedom brand, as long as I'm speaking, I'm going to run that. I don't see myself not speaking. I know people that speak well into the old age, right? I don't want to have to be on a stage. I want to choose to be on the stages. But I know that the way you do that when you're in the older realm is you have to have something that is leading a lot of people. I've noticed those that are, in their 60s, 70s that are speaking, the ones that we know prominently, they've got a massive community or following or something. They've built something beyond them. The different teams like Tony Robbins, your Maxwells, your Gordons, they're running these behemoths. That's why they're still relevant in their age. Whereas those that didn't build that, they're kind of like, they're cool speaking, but they're not the same. Like Les Brown is one of those on the edge where he has some cool products and programs, but he's a phenomenal speaker, but he's not as prominent with backside programs and coaching and teams as like Robbins and Maxwell. So for me, I want dark work to be that big, beautiful brand out that I've built and is still running, to where I can go and choose to speak when I want to, but in that I can still create a program and teach up and coming speakers how to make that move. So until I retire, it's these two brands, it's dark work and Speak to Freedom. And I don't have a desire to do anything else besides that.
I mean, that sounds like a fantastic place to be.
Yeah, it feels real good, man. I get to hone in and get better and better and better, as opposed to like trying to create everything from scratch. And I do believe that in some time, my kids will likely create their own visions, and I'll just kind of support them in what they do. Not that anyone will ever know that I'm doing it, but like, the background of having them think through things or connect with people. So I'm sure I'll have my hands in other things, but it won't be my thing.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. It's fantastic to catch up with you. I mean,
Yeah, same.
Thank you so much for listening. If you found the show valuable, you can say thanks and show your support simply by taking a quick second to like, share, and comment on the show. You can also find more information about each of my guests, all of the resources from the show, and myself at nickberry.info/tBOJ.